The Quran is not a book, it is an unfolding universe, a doorway where creation meets the Creator. Every verse carries a hidden realm. Every word holds an ocean unseen by the eyes but felt by the heart that truly listens. When the seeker recites with awareness, the veil between meaning and reality begins to tremble. The sounds that leave your lips do not vanish. They awaken worlds that exist within you. Each letter is a breath of the divine shaping existence, again and again. The Quran does not simply tell you about truth. It reveals that you are woven into it. What you call a verse is a mirror. What you call reading is remembrance. Beneath every word lies a world waiting to be entered, where language dissolves and only revelation remains alive, infinite, and calling you back to the one who speaks through silence. When the verse opens, it does not unfold upon the page. It unfolds within the heart. The seeker reads, yet it is the unseen that reads him. Each word becomes a threshold, and beyond it waits a realm not measured by time or sound. The verse is a door, but not one that can be touched. It opens through sincerity, through the trembling awareness that revelation was not sent to inform, but to awaken what already knows. The unseen does not announce itself with noise. It reveals itself through stillness. When the verse is recited with presence, the veil between word and world thins. Meaning begins to breathe alive, fluid, endless. The Quran was not created to be read as information. It was spoken to be time's experienced asterisk. Every syllable holds an entry point into divine consciousness, a hidden stair that leads the soul inward, not forward. The door of the verse is subtle. It will not yield to eyes that only see form. It opens to hearts that are willing to be emptied of certainty. The reader must die to interpretation to live in revelation. The verse is not waiting to be understood. It is waiting to be time's entered asterisk. When one enters, he finds himself surrounded by light, shaped like meaning and silence that speaks more than sound ever could. The unseen realm does not live beyond the verse, it lives times through times it. Each recitation stirs dimensions that exist parallel to your breath. As you speak the word, you step into a pattern older than creation. The divine is not distant, but layered within every letter, each one a seed of infinity. The door opens when remembrance becomes recognition, when you realize that what you seek is already speaking through your voice. There is no key to this door. It opens by permission. Some approach it with intellect and find only sound. Others approach it with humility and find entire worlds behind a single phrase. The verse does not surrender to study, it responds to surrender itself. Only the heart emptied of its own noise can hear the whisper behind the words, the call of the one who speaks without tongue. When the door opens, it does not reveal something new. It reveals what has always been. The Quran is not bound to history. It is alive in every instant. The unseen world is not hidden because it is far, but because hearts have grown opaque. The verse becomes the mirror where the soul meets its origin, and in that reflection, all distance dissolves. The seeker who listens beyond sound feels the verse touch him in ways he cannot name. The unseen moves through his being, rearranging thought, softening will, washing memory clean. The Quran does not speak times to times you, it speaks times through times you. Its door opens when the listener becomes the listening, when the self ceases to filter what the divine reveals. There is a fragrance that escapes from every opened verse. It is not of this world, yet it awakens recognition. The unseen carries its own scent, a memory of proximity. When the heart inhales this fragrance, something ancient stirs. The remembrance of the first covenant, the moment when all souls replied, asterisk, yes, we have witnessed, asterisk. The verse becomes the breath of that eternal yes. The door does not open once, it opens endlessly. Each return to the same verse reveals a new horizon, a different shade of divine meaning. The Quran is not read, it reads the heart, revealing according to its depth and purity. The unseen is generous, yet precise. It shows only what the soul is ready to hold. To rush understanding is to close the very door one seeks to open. When the unseen world begins to emerge, it does not dazzle, it humbles. The verse reveals not power, but tenderness. The divine does not crush the seeker with grandeur. He softens him with intimacy. The heart feels itself cradled in meaning too vast to contain, and in that gentleness, surrender becomes natural. The door remains open, only to those who forget themselves in awe. The mystic knows that the unseen cannot be conquered. It can only be invited. Every recitation is an invitation written in light and carried by breath. The Qur'an responds not to lips, but to longing. When longing deepens enough to silence the self, the verse speaks. And when it speaks, the world changes, shaped not outside, but within. The unseen realm is not far from you. It is the depth of what you already are. The verse simply turns your gaze inward. What you called hidden was merely unseen by the eye, accustomed to form. When the verse opens, you discover that meaning is not something you reach. It is something you remember. The door opens not into space, but into awareness. Each verse is a pulse of divine will, traveling through eternity. When you speak it, you participate in creation's renewal. The door opens because the act of recitation is an act of divine repetition. The echo of the first command, *B*, the unseen answers that command still, and through the verse, the heart hears it anew, realizing that existence itself is dhikr. When the seeker stands before a verse, he stands before infinity, clothed in sound. He may think he reads with his tongue, but it is his soul that listens. The unseen world begins its unveiling in layers, each one softer than silence. The deeper he goes, the more he realizes that words are only garments the truth beneath them cannot be pronounced. The door of the verse opens when the reader forgets to seek reward and begins to seek presence. The unseen does not open to curiosity. It opens to devotion. The one who reads for love finds himself carried through meanings that have no end. He no longer studies the verse, he dwells within it. Revelation becomes home. Every time the door opens, it expands the heart's capacity to hold light. But this expansion is not brightness, it is subtle knowing. The unseen does not blind, it clarifies. Through the verse, the heart learns that divine wisdom is not gained through accumulation, but through purification. To be empty before revelation is to be filled beyond measure. The unseen calls to those who approach the Qur'an not as text, but as encounter. Its words are rivers that flow toward the sea of divine unity. When you step into one, you find that you were always standing in water, you simply hadn't felt its depth. The verse opens not a path, but a realization that you were never apart from the source it speaks of. When the door opens, time ceases to move. The verse draws you into an eternal moment, a silence filled with presence. The unseen world is not somewhere you travel to. It is the state of being where all things speak the same language. To enter that realm is to hear creation reciting with you. The mystic learns that the Qur'an does not reveal the unseen. It reveals times how times to see. Each verse is a lens polished by remembrance, allowing the heart to perceive the divine signature written upon all things. When this sight awakens, the world itself becomes scripture. Every breeze, every shadow, every spark of light, another word of the unending revelation. And when the final veil lifts, the seeker no longer seeks. The door that opened before him now resides within him. Every word he speaks carries the fragrance of that unveiling. He realizes that the unseen was never a place to reach, but a presence to return to. The verse becomes his own heartbeat, and every breath whispers what the door first revealed, that all of existence is the speech of the One, eternally reciting itself into being. Revelation is not only written, it breathes. It moves like wind through the unseen, carrying the rhythm of divine speech through every word. The Qur'an is not confined to paper or sound. It is the living breath of the eternal, exhaled through creation itself. When the seeker recites with awareness, he feels this current passing through him, a tide of meaning that reshapes his heart with every syllable. The divine breathes through words, so that hearts may awaken through remembrance. Every letter of revelation carries the residue of that breath. It vibrates with life unseen, still echoing the moment when the command times, be times, gave birth to all things. When you speak these words, you do not simply read. You inhale what descended from beyond time. The air that leaves your mouth becomes part of that original exhalation, as if the infinite is breathing through the finite once more. This breath moves in silence as much as in sound. It travels through pauses, through tears, through the trembling of those who listen deeply. The mystic knows that the true Qur'an is not read aloud. It is felt within the pulse. The breath of revelation enters the heart, like fragrance entering air unseen, yet transformative. It does not teach. It transforms the listener into understanding. Each verse is a wave of that breath flowing outward from the unseen. To recite is to surrender, to allow oneself to become vessel, to let divine wind move through the hollow spaces of the soul. When you recite without presence, the sound passes. When you recite with awareness, the breath remains. It lingers, reshaping your being quietly, turning you into what you repeat. The breath of revelation is unlike ordinary air. It carries remembrance itself. It remembers the source from which it came. That is why, when one recites the Qur'an with a purified heart, the room feels different. The air grows light, time seems to pause, and the unseen draws near. It is not the sound that changes the world. It is the breath behind it. This sacred breath has no boundary of tongue or language. Arabic is its garment, but its essence belongs to the soul. The mystic understands that revelation did not descend times in time's a language. It descended times as time's breath language came later, so the human heart could translate what it already knew. Every tongue that remembers carries this original air, the wind of divine speech still blowing softly through creation. The breath of revelation is mercy in motion. It seeks not the scholar, but the surrendered. It passes through intellects untouched, yet it fills the silent heart with clarity. When you breathe its rhythm, the world aligns to its pulse. Each inhalation becomes acceptance, each exhalation release. The Qur'an moves through you, not as text, but as circulation, the divine current renewing life. When the heart aligns with revelation's breath, it begins to beat differently. The seeker finds that his own breathing has changed, slower, deeper, calmer. Each verse becomes an inhalation of nearness, each pause an exhalation of surrender. This is how revelation heals, not by instruction, but by rhythm. The one who listens is breathed upon until his being harmonizes with the unseen. The mystic says that revelation did not times end asterisk. It continues to flow through breath. Every act of remembrance reopens the channel through which the word first entered creation. When you whisper times Bismillah asterisk, you invite that current once again. You become reed and flute, and the divine breath plays through you, producing notes that no ear can fully capture. The breath of revelation does not pass once. It returns endlessly. It circles between heaven and heart, between silence and sound. It is the cycle of life itself. Inhale, creation, exhale, return. The Qur'an mirrors this rhythm, each verse rising like dawn and setting like dusk. To breathe it with awareness is to live the secret of existence itself. There are hearts through which this breath flows freely, and there are hearts in which it meets resistance. The first are like open fields, where wind dances unhindered. The second are like sealed chambers, filled with stale air. Repentance is the opening of a window, a way for the breath to enter again. Asterisk astagfirullah. Times is the sigh that clears the dust, so revelation can move unhindered. When revelation breathes through the heart, it writes without ink. The soul becomes parchment, the veins its script, meaning travels not through the ear, but through the pulse. You may not understand the words, yet your being recognizes them. The breath carries recognition, older than memory. The soul remembers what the mind cannot translate. Each verse of the Qur'an is a breath made visible. The written form is only its shadow, its body of sound. Its soul remains movement, a sacred current traveling between worlds. When one recites in awareness, he does not speak to God. He allows God to speak through him. The act of reading becomes a dialogue of breath between creation and creator. The mystic knows that even silence carries revelation's breath. Between verses, between pauses, between one heartbeat and another, the wind of mercy moves unseen. It is in the stillness between two words that understanding descends. The space that seems empty is where the voice of the unseen resides. To breathe with awareness is to listen to what cannot be spoken. This breath does not belong to the lungs, it belongs to the soul. The body borrows it for a while, but the heart keeps its rhythm eternally. When the seeker aligns his breath with remembrance, he breathes with the same pulse that animates all of creation. The stars, the seas, the winds, all inhale and exhale the same divine command. *B*. To breathe revelation is to enter intimacy. It is to feel the closeness of the divine, not as concept, but as current. You realize that every inhalation is His mercy entering, every exhalation, His name leaving your lips. The world becomes a vast chest rising and falling with remembrance. And you, a single heartbeat within its divine breath. When revelation moves through your being, it reshapes perception. The ordinary becomes luminous, the simple becomes sacred. You begin to hear the Qur'an not only in sound, but in silence, in rain, in wind, in the turning of leaves. Everything that moves becomes verse, for everything that exists shares the same breath. This is why the mystic listens more than he speaks. He knows that speech risks breaking what silence reveals. The breath of revelation is delicate. It asks not to be controlled, but received. When you breathe it without resistance, understanding unfolds naturally. Knowledge becomes fragrance. Wisdom becomes air. The one who truly breathes the Qur'an carries serenity wherever he goes. His presence feels like peace entering a room. He does not force understanding. He times understanding in motion. The breath of revelation has shaped him into stillness, a mirror that reflects without distortion. And when that breath reaches its fullest flow, the seeker disappears into its rhythm. There is no "I recite" anymore, only recitation happening by itself. The divine breathes through the human, and the human becomes echo. In that union, all separations fade. What remains is only this truth. The revelation was never a text. It was the breath of God, moving through every word, and still moving through you. Meaning does not fall as command. It descends as rain. It touches softly, without force, yet nothing remains unchanged. The Qur'an does not strike the heart, it seeps into it, like water entering thirsty soil. Each verse carries a droplet from the unseen, and when it meets sincerity, life begins to bloom within. Revelation does not demand belief. It nourishes remembrance, until the heart itself becomes a garden of understanding. When meaning descends, it does not arrive through intellect, but through tenderness. The seeker who listens with the mind will hear sound. The one who listens with the soul will feel rain. The descent of revelation is not loud. It is rhythmic, gentle, alive. Just as clouds are formed by unseen vapor, meanings are gathered from divine breath, and they fall where humility makes space for them to land. Every heart has its own season. Some are barren deserts, hardened by pride. Others are fields, waiting quietly beneath clouds of repentance. When rain falls upon arrogance, it slides off without absorption. but when it meets surrender, it disappears into the depth of being, transforming dryness into bloom. Thus, the secret of understanding is not knowledge, it is receptivity. The mystic says that divine meaning never forces itself into the heart. It waits for permission. Rain does not choose where to fall, but it only nourishes what is open. The Quran descends every moment, yet only those whose hearts are softened by remembrance taste its sweetness. Meaning is not something acquired, it is something allowed. When the heart receives revelation as rain, it begins to awaken layers long forgotten. Dormant seeds of wisdom stir, ancient echoes resurface, and silence becomes fertile. The soul realizes that it has always been waiting for this touch, the touch of mercy disguised as meaning. The rain of understanding does not quench. It calls forth what was hidden beneath dust. Every verse carries the fragrance of rain before it falls. The one who recites can feel the air change subtle, electric, alive. It is not the intellect that senses it, but the inner self that remembers divine proximity. When the rain of revelation begins, even tears feel different. They no longer flow from sorrow, but from recognition of what was always there. The descent of meaning is continuous, like rain that never fully ends. The Quran is not history's event. It is the eternal sky still weeping mercy over creation. Each reading is a new rainfall, each word a drop renewed. The heart that approaches revelation freshly each time will never grow weary, for every verse holds an infinity waiting to fall again. When the rain of meaning descends, it cleanses more than confusion. It washes identity itself. The seeker no longer claims understanding, he simply reflects it. Like water on a leaf, knowledge rests upon him without pride. He does not say, asterisk, I know asterisk, but times I am being shown, asterisk. The true student of the Quran does not collect wisdom, he dissolves in its flow. The heart that has been touched by this rain carries its scent forever. Even in silence, others feel its coolness. Words spoken by such a person do not instruct, they irrigate. They carry the echo of divine descent, for once the rain falls within, its fragrance cannot be contained. The heart becomes a cloud that gives without depletion. When meaning descends, it arrives not as instruction, but as intimacy. The divine does not explain, he reveals himself through layers of subtlety. The rain does not tell the soil how to grow. It simply nourishes what the Creator planted there long ago. Every verse becomes a conversation between mercy and potential, between heaven's giving and earth's waiting. The mystic knows that to understand is not to grasp, but to receive. The rain falls, and the heart absorbs without demand. One does not rush the descent, for rain that falls too quickly floods rather than nourishes. Revelation comes in proportion to stillness. It lands gently, according to the measure of readiness. When divine rain touches the heart, it carries remembrance in every drop. The seeker feels that the verse is not speaking about something, it is speaking times into time's hymn. Meaning becomes experience. Revelation becomes atmosphere. What was once outside now breathes within. The self that once sought proof now becomes proof itself. The descent of meaning brings renewal, not repetition. Each return to the same verse becomes a different rainfall. The soil of the heart changes, and so the water reveals new fragrance, new fruit, new awareness. The Quran is not exhausted by reading, for it rains according to the need of the moment. The sky never empties, and understanding never ends. The heart that has been softened by divine rain stops fearing storms. It knows that even thunder is mercy in motion, and lightning is light disguised as awe. Trials become weather patterns of the unseen, each designed to prepare the ground for deeper meaning. The mystic smiles under clouds others flee from, for he knows they carry the drink of awakening. When rain falls within, silence blooms outwardly. The one touched by revelation speaks little, for his being now speaks more than his voice. The fragrance of understanding lingers in his presence, drawing others towards stillness. He does not explain. He reminds not by word, but by the peace that follows him. Meaning does not descend once and depart. It continues to echo long after the sound fades. Like rain absorbed into roots, revelation nourishes in secret. Days later, weeks later, the heart suddenly blossoms with insight that cannot be traced back to reason. The mystic calls this the hidden growth, truth, maturing quietly beneath awareness. The rain of meaning carries its own music. It falls without rhythm, yet harmonizes with the heart's pulse. The seeker who truly listens begins to hear verses not as separate lines, but as a single melody moving through creation. This music cannot be written, it can only be lived. Every act of remembrance becomes part of its song. When revelation's rain reaches its depth, the heart becomes ocean. No drop is lost, no wave forgotten. Every memory of divine descent ripples endlessly within. The seeker no longer distinguishes between learning and being. He times is times, the landscape upon which meaning falls, and the rain that falls upon it. And when the rain stops, it is not absence, but fulfillment. The sky clears to reveal the reflection of the divine within the pool of the heart. The seeker sees that the purpose of the rain was never to wet the earth, but to show the mirror hidden beneath the dust, meaning descended so that remembrance could rise. And in that rising, the soul finally sees it was not the heart that received revelation, but revelation that had been waiting all along for the heart to awaken. The Qur'an is not merely spoken, it is sung by existence itself. Every atom vibrates in its rhythm, every star spins according to its cadence. The universe was written in divine tempo long before ink and paper appeared. The seeker who listens deeply does not hear sound, but movement, a cosmic pulse echoing the eternal times. B***. This rhythm is not bound by measure. It is the dance of creation, unfolding in obedience to the One. Within every verse lies the memory of that rhythm. The Qur'an breathes in perfect proportion, balancing sound and silence, meaning and mystery. Each letter carries the resonance of the moment creation was born. When one recites with awareness, his voice becomes an instrument of the same divine composition. He does not speak times about times, truth. He joins the song that truth has always been singing. This hidden universe does not expand through space, but through remembrance. Every recitation renews its music. Every whisper realigns its order. The divine rhythm moves not forward, but inward, circling the heart like the orbit of stars around a sacred center. When you remember with presence, you are not creating praise. You are tuning back to the harmony that holds all things together. The mystic understands that every sound of revelation contains a silence deeper than itself. Between each letter rests the stillness of the unseen, the pause where God breathes meaning into existence. These intervals are not empty, they are pregnant with eternity. To hear the Qur'an truly is to perceive both its melody and its silence as one movement of divine intent. The rhythm of the Qur'an is reflected in all forms of life. Rivers flow in recitation, winds hum in remembrance. Mountains stand as punctuation in the sentence of the earth. Even the heartbeat follows its pattern, contraction and release, giving and receiving. Every living thing performs dhikr through its rhythm, unaware that it is obeying the same law that arranges galaxies in verses alike. When the seeker listens beyond sound, he begins to hear unity in diversity. The rhythm that holds stars in orbit is the same that governs the syllables of revelation. Each verse mirrors a celestial motion. Each recitation becomes a reenactment of divine order. What seems like reading is actually participation, a moment where the finite joins the infinite composition. The Qur'an reveals itself not through grammar, but through motion. Its words rise and fall like breath, carrying the pulse of divine life. When recited with love, they awaken hidden energies within the soul. causing remembrance to move through the veins. The one who recites becomes instrument and listener at once, a vessel through which divine rhythm flows freely. To exist is to vibrate. Everything that has being hums quietly with the sound of its creator. The mystic calls this the time's music of oneness asterisk. It cannot be heard by the ear but felt by the soul. The Qur'an is its most perfect expression, the visible trace of the invisible symphony. When revelation descends, the universe listens, aligning its pulse to the sound of divine remembrance. The rhythm of revelation does not end when the verse concludes. It continues through action. To live in awareness is to walk in tempo with the sacred. Prayer, patience, charity. Each act has its own beat, harmonizing the human with the eternal. The seeker who surrenders to this flow no longer struggles against life. He moves as water moves, effortless, fluid, alive. The divine rhythm is not confined to sound, but extends to light, shadow, and movement. The day rises, the night falls. The seasons turn, all in obedience to the unseen conductor. Even the pauses between events carry meaning. The silence after loss, the stillness after joy, all are part of the rhythm of revelation, unfolding within the story of existence. When one reads the Qur'an with presence, he does not follow words, he follows waves. Each verse lifts him, carries him, releases him, like a tide upon the shore of the unseen. The rhythm teaches surrender through its own nature. Every ascent leads to descent, every pause to renewal. It is through this rise and fall that the soul learns how to breathe with the divine. The mystic realizes that rhythm itself is mercy. Without balance, creation would collapse. Without harmony, existence would fracture. The Qur'an sustains this order through sound, preserving equilibrium between form and essence. Every command, every story, every parable is a note in the vast composition that keeps reality from unraveling. The hidden universe within revelation is written not in letters, but in vibration. When the divine said times be asterisk, that sound did not vanish. It still echoes through every form of life. The Qur'an is the map of that resonance, the visible expression of that unseen frequency. To recite is to remember your own participation in the eternal word that brought all things into being. Those who hear this rhythm cease to see separation. Mountains, verses, stars, and breaths become one hymn sung in countless keys. The Qur'an becomes not a message times about times God, but the rhythm times of times God existence, vibrating in remembrance of its source. To align with it is to dissolve the illusion of isolation, to rediscover the unity hidden beneath form. This divine rhythm is not perfection without variation. It is beauty shaped through contrast. Just as melody needs silence, revelation needs interpretation. The pause after comprehension is as sacred as the moment of insight. The mystic finds harmony even in confusion, knowing that dissonance is part of the music that drives the heart toward deeper hearing. When revelation moves through a receptive heart, it awakens forgotten rhythms within. The seeker begins to feel divine tempo in his thoughts, his speech, his pauses. Each act becomes a verse, each silence a refrain. Life itself becomes Qur'an in motion, the unfolding of divine art written upon time. The rhythm of the unseen is not owned by the few. It surrounds every soul. Some are deaf to it, lost in the noise of form, while others catch a faint whisper and follow it home. The path of remembrance is simply learning to listen again, to hear the pulse beneath existence that says, again and again, asterisk. All things praise him, though you do not understand their praise, asterisk. When the seeker reaches this awareness, the need to interpret fades. He no longer asks for meaning, he feels it. Each verse beats through him. Each breath echoes eternity. The rhythm becomes his teacher, guiding without words, shaping without force. He realizes that revelation was never information, it was calibration. tuning the human soul back to divine frequency. And when the final veil lifts, rhythm and listener become one. The universe hums, the heart hums, and both sounds merge into silence that vibrates with infinite presence. In that silence, the mystic understands. The Qur'an was not sent down, it was already here, written as rhythm within every atom, waiting only for the soul to hear its music and remember that it, too, was composed from the sound of B. When one opens the Qur'an, it is not he who reads it, it is the Qur'an that reads him. The verses do not simply speak to the eyes, they gaze back into the soul. Each word reflects the hidden state of the reader, showing him not what lies on the page, but what dwells within his heart. The text is not passive ink, it is a living mirror, a divine consciousness clothed in sound. What you receive from it depends not on intellect, but on the clarity of your reflection. The Qur'an unveils according to the readiness of the heart. To one, it is law. To another, light. To a third, an ocean without shore. Its words never change, but the mirror they hold shifts with the reader's awareness. When the soul stands sincere before it, the veil between self and meaning thins. The Qur'an speaks not times to times you, but times through times you, revealing the truths you were destined to recognize. The mystic says that revelation is not an external dialogue, it is remembrance speaking to itself. When you read the Qur'an with presence, it begins to describe your own condition. Every command becomes a reflection of your own longing, every story a map of your own journey. The book becomes both the path and the mirror, the question and the answer, the seeker and the sought. Sometimes the Qur'an comforts, other times it pierces. This is not contradiction, it is precision. The divine knows what medicine each heart requires. For some, it offers mercy like a gentle breeze. For others, it strikes like thunder to awaken the sleeping spirit. The same verse that soothes one may shake another. The book reads each soul in the language it understands. When the Qur'an reads you, it touches not the ear but the core. It reveals wounds you had hidden even from yourself. It names fears without speaking them. And yet, its words do not condemn, they call. In that calling lies mercy, for the divine does not expose to shame, but to heal. What feels like rebuke is often revelation, guiding you back to alignment. The reader who approaches with pride finds only veils. The one who comes in surrender finds doors. The Qur'an responds to state, not status. It bends toward humility as flowers turn toward the sun. Each verse becomes a mirror, adjusted to the soul's inclination. When the heart bows, the text rises in meaning, showing depths that intellect alone can never fathom. To read the Qur'an without letting it read you is to stand before a river and die of thirst. The water flows endlessly, but only those who lower their hands may drink. The words of God are not to be studied as artifacts. They are living waters meant to move through the veins of the seeker. Reading becomes immersion. Understanding becomes transformation. The Qur'an observes the one who recites it. It listens to the tone of your voice, the intention behind your breath. It measures the sincerity of your pause more than the beauty of your sound. To the world, you may appear to read, but in the unseen, the verse studies you weighing heart against word, and word against silence. The mystic understands that revelation is multi-layered. One layer speaks to the outer form, the other to the soul's unseen geography. The Qur'an reads both at once, addressing the body with law and the heart with love. To those who stand between, half awake, it whispers gently until awareness ripens. The text never fails, only hearts fail to listen. Each time you return to the Qur'an, it meets a different version of you. The same verse that once passed unnoticed now pierces, as though it had been rewritten overnight. But it is not the book that changed it, it is you who have become readable. Revelation waits patiently for your evolution, unveiling meaning according to your maturity of spirit. When the Qur'an reads you, It reveals not only your flaws, but your possibilities. It does not stop at diagnosis. It awakens potential. Within every warning lies a hidden invitation. Within every command, a promise of transformation. The reader who surrenders to this rhythm is no longer student but participant, a verse in motion. The act of recitation is not performance. It is unveiling. The Quran reads your breath, your hesitation, your tremor. It measures not fluency, but frequency. The resonance of sincerity vibrating beneath the sound. The divine listens through the words you speak, responding not to grammar, but to the pulse behind it. Every reading becomes a dialogue between eternity and a single soul. There are moments when the Quran answers questions you never asked aloud. A verse appears as if it had been waiting for you, its timing perfect, its meaning unmistakable. In that moment, you realize that revelation is not ancient, it is alive, breathing beside you. The Quran does not belong to history, it belongs to the present heartbeat of awareness. When the book reads the soul, it uncovers layers of illusion. It shows you how you've mistaken form for essence, motion for meaning. It dismantles false certainty, gently but thoroughly, until all that remains is vulnerability, the soil where truth can finally take root. What feels like loss of knowledge is in fact purification of perception. The mystic bows not to paper, but to presence. He knows that every letter of the Quran is a living being, illuminated by divine breath. When he recites, he feels the text observing him, asking silently, asterisk, "Are you awake enough to hear me?" Asterisk. The Quran becomes not a scripture to master, but a presence to surrender to. Reading then becomes revelation itself. The seeker does not extract meaning, he receives it. Each verse descends into his heart, like light falling through water. The more transparent the heart, the deeper the meaning penetrates. The book reads until the reader disappears, leaving only the dialogue, a current flowing between the finite and the infinite. To be read by the Quran is to be remade by it. Its verses do not inform, they transform. Each one chisels away the false self, shaping the soul into receptivity. The heart, once divided, learns unity. The seeker realizes that the goal of reading was never comprehension, it was becoming readable to God. When this awareness dawns, the act of recitation becomes sacred intimacy. You speak and are spoken through, you listen and are listened into being. The book is no longer before you, it is within you, turning its pages in the rhythm of your breath. The reader and the read dissolve into one awareness, the verse reading itself through the mirror of the soul. And when the final veil lifts, the seeker sees what was hidden all along. The Quran had never been a book. It was a living current of divine consciousness reflecting through form. You were not the one holding it, it was holding you, reading your silence, forgiving your forgetfulness, teaching you that the truest reading is not done with eyes or tongue, but with a heart transparent enough for revelation to see itself in. Between two letters lies a silence older than time. It is the breath that existed before words, the pause in which creation listened to its own becoming. The Quran was not only revealed through speech, it was carried upon this silence. Every letter emerges from that eternal stillness, speaks its truth, and returns to it again. To hear the Quran deeply is to listen not to the sound, but to the space between sounds, where eternity echoes softly through presence. Each letter of revelation is born from divine breath, but the pause that separates them holds the secret of infinity. The letters are like waves, the silence between them is the ocean. Without that stillness, language would collapse under its own motion. The mystic learns to rest within this space, the meeting point between being and non-being. And in it, he discovers the trace of the eternal whispering. Asterisk, I was before speech, and I remain beyond it. Asterisk, the Quran's beauty does not lie only in its rhythm or recitation, but in the intervals that give meaning to sound. These pauses are thresholds, doorways through which the infinite moves into form. Each moment of stillness holds a mirror where light meets reflection, and the reader who is awake feels it. The heart pauses as the verse pauses, mirroring divine rhythm. In that moment, the finite tastes what it means to be endless. The echo of eternity is not heard with the ear. It is felt as awareness expanding beyond comprehension. When you recite, the letters flow outward, but the silence draws inward, pulling the soul into a place where nothing separates creator from creation. The Qur'an's sound awakens the mind, but its silence awakens the soul. The two together complete revelation. One gives form, the other gives infinity. Between two letters lies remembrance. It is there the seeker meets the divine, without language, without thought. The heart recognizes what it has always known but could never articulate. When this silence enters you, the world itself seems to hold its breath. It is the same stillness that hovered over creation before time began the womb of revelation, from which all meanings are born. The mystic says that the Qur'an's letters are not random. They are arranged according to a hidden music. Each pause is a note sustained, each silence a breath of mercy extended. The echo between them is the pulse of eternity, the heartbeat of divine presence, vibrating beneath sound. To read with awareness is to align oneself with this cosmic cadence, to feel creation breathing through every verse. When you dwell upon a single letter, you realize it carries universes within. But when you dwell upon the space between two, you realize that universes themselves are only pauses in the speech of God. The Qur'an is thus not simply revelation, it is the motion of eternity condensed into audible form. The pauses between letters are not absences, they are veils shimmering with infinite meaning. In the unseen, angels listen to these silences as melodies. They hear not words, but the rhythm of divine nearness, unfolding without interruption. The seeker on earth, when attuned, joins this listening. His soul begins to echo what cannot be spoken, repeating without sound the unuttered name that sustains existence. This is dhikr, beyond words, remembrance, as being. The echo of eternity is not distant. It vibrates in every breath. When you inhale, you take in silence. When you exhale, you release sound. Life itself is this balance between letters and pauses, between revelation and return. The one who breathes with awareness lives in constant recitation, his existence a verse, his silence a remembrance. The pauses in revelation are acts of compassion. If meaning descended without rest, it would overwhelm creation. The silence between two letters allows mercy to settle, allowing hearts to receive in measure. Even divine revelation follows rhythm and restraint, the infinite revealing itself through harmony, not force. Thus, silence becomes the gentlest form of guidance. The mystic knows that understanding the Qur'an is not mastery of words, but sensitivity to the spaces that surround them. Those who rush through reading miss what dwells between verses, the echo that carries eternity's fragrance. True recitation is not swift speech, but deep listening. The pauses teach you to hear without demanding, to receive without asking. Every reader is shaped by what happens in those intervals. When the tongue stops, meaning continues moving through the unseen. The Qur'an speaks even when silent. Its energy travels through awareness. To sense this is to realize that divine communication never ceases. It simply shifts from sound to silence, from letter to echo. The wise read both equally. The echo between letters is the meeting of opposites, presence and absence, sound and stillness, known and unknowable. It is the point where duality dissolves and the listener touches unity. The Qur'an guides the heart to this meeting, teaching that the divine speaks not only through revelation, but through the pauses that hold revelation together. Between two verses, a doorway opens where the soul glimpses the origin of all things. There, no word is needed, no thought survives. Awareness becomes prayer without form. The seeker feels himself dissolving into the echo, realizing that the silence is not emptiness, but the fullness of God's nearness, too vast for sound to contain. The mystic lingers in this echo, not to analyze but to be absorbed. For him, the pauses are not absence but presence unveiled. He no longer seeks messages within verses. He dwells within the presence that surrounds them. In that stillness, the boundaries of reading fade. Revelation becomes inhalation. Understanding becomes being. This echo does not belong to time. It reverberates across existence, binding moments together like pearls on a single thread. Every letter, every pause, every heartbeat is strung upon it. The seeker who perceives this rhythm no longer distinguishes between reading and living. Both are reflections of the same eternal speech, unfolding through form. When the Quran reads the soul, it pauses deliberately, allowing the heart to catch up. These pauses are mercy, hidden in stillness, time for understanding to ripen, for the self to yield. Between two letters, one learns the art of surrender, to let meaning descend rather than reach for it. This is how revelation trains the soul to listen beyond thought. The echo of eternity between letters reminds the seeker that speech was never the source silence was. The first revelation was not a word, but a stillness filled with intention. All creation is an extension of that silence, clothed in vibration. The Quran, therefore, is not merely recitation. It is the divine pausing long enough for you to remember where you came from. And when awareness deepens, the seeker no longer waits for the next word. He realizes the pause is the message, the silence, the revelation. Between two letters, he finds everything: the breath of mercy, the rhythm of existence, the reflection of the infinite, gazing through soundless space. The echo of eternity was never lost. It was always resounding within the quiet places of your own being. The mystic listens and understands that revelation is both utterance and rest. Each word of the Quran opens a world, but the silence between them opens the one who spoke it. The echo that moves through those pauses is eternity calling you home, reminding you that before there was speech, there was presence, and it still speaks through every moment of stillness you dare to hear. Before sound existed, the word already was pure, radiant, unuttered. It was not written or recited, but times beheld asterisk. The soul, in its pre-eternal state, saw the word as light before it became language, as presence before it became sound. To behold the word before it was spoken is to remember the moment when existence recognized its own origin, when all creation bowed in silence to the unseen command that would one day echo as times be. Asterisk. The mystic says that every human carries the memory of that sight, buried beneath veils of form and forgetfulness. It stirs whenever the Quran is recited with heart, when sound reawakens what vision once knew. In those moments, the soul does not learn, it remembers. Revelation does not introduce truth. It reintroduces what the soul once witnessed before the veil of separation descended. When the seeker reaches stillness, the boundary between hearing and seeing dissolves. The word no longer travels through the ear. It blooms within the soul. It appears not as syllables, but as illumination, a vision too vast for form. What was once language becomes light. What was once verse becomes unveiling. The soul does not hear meaning. It times beholds times it. To behold the word before speech is to meet creation in its unspoken purity. There are no pages, no ink, no reciter, only presence vibrating in the rhythm of divine will. The word is not bound to the past. It unfolds eternally. The one who perceives this understands that the Quran is not a moment in history. It is the living essence of being itself, spoken continuously through the fabric of existence. When the divine said times be asterisk, the word was not a sound, but a wave of awareness spreading through nothingness. That awareness became light, and light became meaning, and meaning became form. The Qur'an is the echo of that first utterance, descending through time like rain from an unseen sky. To behold it before it was spoken is to remember the moment of creation's awakening when silence turned into song. The soul that reaches this vision does not see with eyes but with remembrance. What appears before it is not shape but certainty, the knowing that all words are born from one source. When the Qur'an touches such a heart, it no longer feels external. It feels like breathing. The verses do not arrive. They arise from within, as if the soul itself were the parchment upon which revelation writes. Every seeker stands between two realities, the spoken and the seen, the manifest and the remembered. When the balance between them is restored, the heart becomes the meeting place of revelation. There, the word is no longer recited, it is revealed again. This is not hearing with ears, but with essence, the hearing that was granted before the body knew sound. The mystic understands that the word is not learned through repetition, but unveiled through remembrance. Each letter is a key, not to new information, but to ancient knowing. The deeper one goes into remembrance. The closer one returns to that original site. The Qur'an becomes not a message descending, but a memory awakening. In the unseen realm, the word still shines, untouched by articulation. The Qur'an, in its divine form, is beyond sound and symbol. It exists as rhythm, as energy, as living light. When the heart purifies itself enough, it glimpses this form directly, not through translation or thought, but through resonance. The soul recognizes its own reflection in that light, and in that recognition, it bows without command. To behold the word before it was spoken is to stand where revelation begins, not in sound, but in surrender. The seeker becomes a witness to the eternal conversation between the divine and existence. In that conversation, the human heart is both listener and line, both echo and origin. What you read in time is what your soul saw before time was born. This sight cannot be forced. It is gifted through silence. The closer the seeker moves towards stillness, the more speech dissolves into seeing. At that depth, even prayer becomes vision. Every supplication, a flash of remembrance. The tongue falls quiet, for it realizes that the one addressed and the one speaking were never two. When the heart reaches this unveiling, it begins to sense the movement of the unspoken word everywhere. In wind, in water, in the turning of leaves, each carries the same hidden pulse that gave birth to creation. The world becomes scripture once more. Each atom a verse, each breath a continuation of the ancient dialogue between the word and what was made by it. The mystic does not seek to describe this state, for description belongs to sound, and what he beholds lies before sound. To speak of it is already to lose it. Yet in his silence, others feel its presence, a serenity that seems older than the world, a peace that feels like recognition. Those who sit near such a one find themselves remembering what they never knew they forgot. The unspoken word does not belong to one language or revelation. It is the essence behind them all. The Qur'an is its clearest mirror, but not its limit. Each verse reflects the eternal word through human form, yet the reality behind it remains infinite. The seeker who beholds this understands that revelation is not given to humanity. Humanity was created to give revelation, a listener. When the soul beholds the word before it was spoken, time loses meaning. Past, present, and future fold into a single awareness, the eternal now, where the divine forever says times be asterisk. The heart that lives here does not wait for signs. It sees all existence as sign. Life itself becomes a commentary upon that first word. To behold is not to control, but to dissolve. The self that sought understanding cannot survive in the radiance of the unspoken. The word consumes what listens until only listening remains. And in that pure listening, creation hears itself, being sustained moment by the mercy of the one speaking it into being. This vision changes how one reads forever. The The Qur'an is no longer a text to interpret, but a presence to encounter. The reader feels himself being read, drawn back toward the source that once spoke through him. Each recitation becomes reunion, each pause remembrance. The words no longer carry meaning, they times meaning, alive and endless. The mystic understands that to behold the word before it was spoken is to taste eternity. It is the moment when the boundary between revelation and revealer disappears. The voice that once seemed other is now recognized as one's own soul, echoing its origin. The heart trembles not from fear, but from recognition. It was never apart from the sound that sustains it. And when the veil lifts completely, there remains no speaker, no listener, no word, only the word itself, endlessly speaking and beholding. The Quran was not revealed once. It is being revealed still, through every breath that carries awareness. The soul that sees this no longer reads it times remembers asterisk. It beholds the word before it was spoken, and realizes that it never ceased being spoken at all. The seeker realizes that the Quran is not a book to be finished. It is a mirror without end. Every verse that once seemed to speak outward now reflects inward, revealing worlds within worlds. The soul, now awake, sees that it was never simply reading divine words. It was remembering the moment before language began, when all of existence was still a single whisper of times. Be asterisk. The heart that beholds the word before it was spoken no longer looks for signs. It becomes one. The letters that once appeared separate now merge into a single breath, the breath of the eternal, flowing through all that lives. Revelation, the reader, and the read dissolve into one awareness, the unseen speaking itself into being again and again. The seeker finally understands the Quran is not something you approach. It is something that has always been approaching you. Its words are the heartbeat of creation, and your remembrance is their echo. To behold them is to awaken to the truth that has never departed. The word still speaks, and through your silence, it continues to be heard.